Welcome to the Big Day Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Gazdia, alongside my wife, Maria, and together we own Big Day Fitness, Norwell, and Duxbury. Today we're going to do a deep dive on perimenopause and menopause with newfound author, Maria Gutierrez. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so menopause and perimenopause has always been a topic at the gym because that's the majority of our clients. They are all going through perimenopause, or they are reaching the time where they start experiencing those changes, or they have already reached menopause. So they come with all these questions that I have no idea how to answer, and I started researching about perimenopause and menopause, and I realized that out there's no information that is easy to understand for normal women, and everything is scattered around books, the internet, some podcasts, some documentaries. So I started putting together like a guide for our members so I could actually answer their questions. And I just kept writing, and this turned into something.
You accidentally published a book.
Accidentally, yeah. It's a mini book, but it's very easy to read. And I think it explains in a very simple way all this natural process that every single woman on earth is gonna go through. It's a natural process of change that either naturally or because of surgery you're gonna go through. So
you can go through it because of surgery?
Right. If they need to remove your reproductive organs, you're going to reach menopause artificially, like in that moment, or you go through the whole perimenopause process and then you reach menopause.
So menopause means you can no longer bear children, and when you have those organs removed, it means you can't do that. But does that have all the same hormonal effects that perimenopause and menopause do?
Yes, and that's a good point that you said. So menopause means that you have been for 12 consecutive months without your period, and then you cannot have children anymore. While you are still in perimenopause, you can still have children even though your cycle is irregular.
Yeah.
And yes, the fact that you reach menopause either because of surgery or naturally, all your hormone levels change, and that's the main reason why all these physical and emotional changes happen in your body.
And I know there's some, symptoms that I've heard of a lot. Like we went to, I think it's Dick's Last Resort in Boston when I was a kid, and they put a hat on my mom. Do you know what Dick's Last Resort is?
No.
They put these big white paper hats on.
Is it a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a restaurant. It's like this is part of their thing, and they write on it, and they usually write like a mean joke. So they wrote on my mom's, "I'm still hot. It just comes in flashes."
Oh.
And so that's like one of the symptoms of menopause that I've always known about. Hot flashes is something that happens when you go through it. But a lot of the ones you were telling me about weren't as obvious to me. Like I've never heard anybody explain them as symptoms, and they wouldn't have. I wouldn't have, even if I did, I wouldn't have paired it up with menopause. But now I'm hearing more about it since you've taught about it, and it's become more commonplace in the gym where the awareness is building.
Yeah, well, it's not just you. It's like there was no research about all of these symptoms, and now these researches are coming up and they are finding more and more connections between this drop down in hormones, in progesterone and estrogen, and how they affect our bodies. For example, frozen shoulder. We find a lot of women at the gym that come saying, I think I have a frozen shoulder, or it hurts, or I went to the doctor and they told me that it's frozen shoulder. And they were just diagnosing this pain or this injury, but they were never making the connection with low levels of estrogen.
Yeah.
And now they are finding out that it can be very much related. because estrogen is the hormone that keeps your joints lubricated, and when it drops down in your body, that lubrication is out. So you start experiencing pain in that area. It perfectly can be your shoulder, but we also hear a lot of women that have joint pains and they just wake up in the morning aching and everything hurts and everything feels inflamed because that estrogen that they are lacking is an anti-inflammatory for the body. So that hormone that is supposed to reduce inflammation in your joints is not there anymore, and now is showing up as pain or aches.
Yeah, so that sounds like it's the big thing behind all the symptoms of menopause is the drop in estrogen and progesterone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
So one of the one of the treatments to a lot of these symptoms is going to be things that raise those levels back up.
Not that they raise the levels back up, but um, there's different parts of our lives where we have the control over, like your diet, your sleep, your stress management. Um, Doing strength training has been proven to help with all this hormone reduction, with reducing the cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. So taking the control over your life and being mindful about what type of diet you have, eating the right things, eating protein, going to the gym and doing strength training, weightlifting, keeping a good sleep routine, and protecting your sleep and your resting time. All of those can benefit your body and your hormone levels to balance out more. It's not like they're gonna go back to normal,
Right.
but at least if you start before your perimenopause symptoms start, you are ahead of the game, and those levels are gonna drop less than if you are not doing anything.
Okay, that makes sense. So sleeping well, eating right, lifting weights, doing a little bit of cardio.
Managing your stress.
Yep.
And actually, now that you mentioned cardio, there's a couple of studies that just came out that show that for some women, doing long sessions of cardio might be might cause the opposite effect to what they want. They normally want to lose weight, that menopause extra weight, and what cardio does to your body, if you do it for long periods of time, like an hour or so, it raises the cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So by leveling up the cortisol, your body is getting more stressed, which means that it's gonna collect more fat.
Yeah.
So you're gonna actually burn less by doing more cardio. So what they are finding now is that shorter sessions of cardio, like 20 to 30 minutes max, can have a better impact in weight loss goals than doing the long sessions that some women are used to.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's all about balance. I think the recommended amount of cardio for a healthy person is 150 minutes a week, which, is around 20 minutes a day. So that's right in line. And, if you like to go out for long runs, I think it's, keep doing it. But obviously being able to monitor like your current situation and how that's working for you. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's something that really makes you happy and it helps with your mental health and you really need that run to de-stress and relax and disconnect from the day, do it because you're getting a lot of benefits from it. But if you're just pushing yourself for a full hour in the peloton as hard as you can because your own goal is to burn more calories, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Or it might not be the way to do it for you. So yes, I do agree that balancing some cardio, which is awesome for your heart health, and then 2 to 3 days a week of strength training.
Mm-hmm.
It's proven to be the best combo for perimenopause and menopause, and transition into these changes in a more graceful way.
Yeah, I think for sure it's at a certain point, more exercise isn't better. I think that's something our society hasn't done a good job of because it's labeled exercise as just good, 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 which it is. I think there's plenty of research done that shows like if you could make exercise a drug, it would be the most widely prescribed drug ever because of all the positive effects it has. But at a certain point, like there's too much of a good thing, and yeah, it's going to stress you out. It's going to make your hormones out of whack. And especially if the reason you're doing that is because you want to lose weight, it doesn't make sense because, well, one, my favorite expression is you can't, trying to lose weight with exercise is like trying to hammer in a nail with a screwdriver. It's not the best tool to do that. The best tool for weight management is going to be first thing your diet, because it's a lot easier to control the energy that's going in, which is your food, than the energy you're putting out, which is exercise. So just like a thing on that, I think the power of diet and improving your body composition can't be understated.
Yeah, we always say at the gym that you cannot outrun about diet.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it sounds so simple and it sounds so basic, but the apps are made in the kitchen, and we need to pay attention to what we eat, especially as women, starting in your 30s, 40s, looking into what you are really feeding to your body. It's crucial because you need to feed it with fiber, you need to feed it with good sugars, with tons of protein, because especially us, once those levels of estrogen and progesterone go down, your bone density goes down, and you can see like everybody has someone around that has broken their hip. And who do you normally hear that has broken their hip? Men or women?
Women.
Yeah, because the levels of the bone density goes down tremendously. So if you don't exercise, if you don't do the strength training, and you don't have a good diet that is high in calcium and high in protein, you are just letting your bones dissolve, and you're not feeding it with what they need.
Yeah.
So paying attention to your body, not only in the outside world, going to the gym or doing strength training and exercise, but also feeding it in the inside with what they really need.
Yeah, that's all really useful stuff. The first thought I have was it's amazing how bones work. You know that your bones are always deteriorating, like even when you're younger, but they just replace themselves so quickly. And as we get older, it's important that we're eating the foods so they can continue to replace themselves quickly, because that ratio of deterioration to replacing themselves just slows down for everybody with age. So you need to eat the fuel so that it's able to build on itself, but also the best way to stimulate new bone growth is adding some extra gravity. So that's why rucking has become so popular, right? Is because you're literally just walking around with weight. Mm-hmm. That's it. You're putting force on the bones to make them have to build on top of themselves. And you're seeing a lot of women doing this right now, which is great. Rucking, I don't think is perfect for everybody.
For everybody, right.
And we have ways we do that in the gym with like farmer carries, and most strength exercises done safely. You're gonna add gravity to your frame and build muscle. So just another little tidbit, but it goes to show that with menopause, with trying to live a healthy lifestyle, it's really all the same stuff.
It's
all the basics. So go ahead and listen to our last podcast on extraordinary and the breakdown of what that word means if you want to learn a little bit more about the basics.
Yeah, and don't get overwhelmed because of all the things that you should be practicing. Focus on the bare bones. Focus on the super basic things that everybody knows and nobody really practices because it's just boring. Those are the ones that are going to give you the best results.
Yeah.
And when it comes to menopause, and perimenopause is the same. Why do we like send your kids to bed at 8 p.m. and why don't you go to bed until 12? You should be doing the same.
Yeah.
Whatever you are trying to teach your kids to do, that's the basics. So apply it back to you, and things will change.
So, if you're trying to apply some of the basics to your own routine, to your lifestyle, here's 4 ways you can reach out to us. You can send us an email at hello@bigdayfit.com. You can call us or text us at 781-886-7444. You can find us on Instagram at bigdayfit_fitness, or
Or you can go on Amazon and check out my book. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Perimenopause and Menopause by Maria Gutierrez.
all right, talk to you soon.